In this lesson, we're going to look at factorising. Now, factorising is the reverse of multiplying out brackets. So you should have spent some time multiplying out brackets and should be comfortable with this before you start to factorise. If you're not, I would go back and practice it. So on the screen here we have 3x plus 6, an expression, and we're looking to factorise it. Now in order to factorise this expression, you try and find a number that goes into both the 3 and the 6. And this number that divides into 3 and 6 is called the highest common factor, and that is a 3. You draw your brackets out, and then you think, what do I need to multiply 3 by to get 3x plus 6? Well, I need an x to get the 3x, and I need a 2 to multiply to make the 6. Now when you're taking out a common factor, it can be a letter, or a number, or a combination of both. It doesn't always just have to be a number. Okay, let's look at the next slide. So we've got 4 examples here. I'll talk about them quickly, then we'll try some. So the 2x subtract 18, the highest common factor that goes into 2 and 18 is 2. You multiply x by 2 to get the 2x, and 2 by negative 9 to get the negative 18. An easy way to think about it, if there's a takeaway here, there's going to be a takeaway in the brackets. If there's a plus here, there's going to be a plus in the brackets. The second example, the biggest number that goes into 5 and 15 is 5. You multiply 5 by the y to get the 5y, and 5 by 3 to get the 15. And so on down. Okay, let's look at the next slide and try and work them out. I've started some of them for you, but the rest we'll do step by step. Okay, so the highest common factor here that goes into 4a and 24 is 4. I've written that down already. What do you multiply 4 by to get 4a? You should be thinking a. We should have a plus here, and 4 times 6 makes 24. The second one, 3 is the highest number that goes into 3 and 6. What do I need to multiply 3 by to get 3x? Well, an x, a takeaway, and 3 times 2 makes the 6 up here. Okay, we have to think of the biggest number that goes into 10 and 5. That's 5. Now the numbers first this time, so we think 5 times what makes 10, that should be a 2. Put your takeaway in, and 5 times what makes 5y, well that's a y. Okay, the biggest number that goes into 16 and 24, well that's 8. If you chose 4 or 2, you would get some marks for doing that, but it wouldn't be fully factorised. You need to try to find the biggest number that goes into these two values. So 8 times what makes 16y, well that's a 2y, and 8 times what makes 24, that's 3. And you can see a takeaway here, just put a takeaway down here. Or you can think of it, 8 times negative 3 makes negative 24. Okay, down to the second line here. This time there is no number that can come out because there's no number at the front here. So we have to take a letter out instead because there's a y squared and a y at the end. So that means we can take a common factor of a letter out. So y times what makes y squared? Well, that's y. And y times what makes 4y? Well, that's 4. That's your answer. Again here, we can't take a number out because there's a 6 here and just a 1. There's no number that goes into both of them. Some people think 1 does, but that wouldn't really factorise for us. Taking a 1 out wouldn't do anything. So you take the c out instead. Okay, so c multiplied by 6 gives you 6c, and c times c makes c squared. Next one, you can take a common factor of a because a is in both parts. So a times what makes a squared? Well, that's a. Take away, and a times what makes ab? Well, that's b. A times b makes ab. Last one in this line, t is your common factor. T times r makes tr, and t times s makes the last bit there. Okay, on to some harder ones now. You may have a combination of both a letter and a number in these ones, or maybe just a letter or a number. You have to make your own mind up. So in this one we look at the numbers first. You can take 4 out of 4 and 8. That's the biggest number that divides into both of them. But there's also a b in both parts, so we'll take that out as well. So 4b times something makes 4ab, well, we need an a, and 4b times 2 makes the 8b there. Okay, moving on to this one. The biggest number that goes into 6 and 9 is 3. There's no letter in both parts that's the same, so we can't take any letters out. 3 times what makes 6n squared? That's 2n squared. And 3 times what makes 9? Well, that's 3. Okay, biggest number that goes into 27 and 36, well, that's 9. There's no letter common to both bits, so we can't do anything with that. 9 times 3 makes it 27, and 9 times, we need an f squared there to give your f squared here. Take away, 9 times 4 is 36, and we need the g there to make the 36g. Lastly, we've got a 3 and a 1, so you can't take anything out for 3 and 1. But you can take an n out because there's an n appearing in both parts there, so we'll take an n out. N multiplied by 3n squared, we'll give the first bit, and n times n makes n squared.